Hey, what's up? I love Lamp. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen your name pop up in my chat. Long time. Long time. Yep, I see that everything changed. You now have a coffee camera, you have a terminal chat, and oh yeah, the terminal chat is an app I've been working on in my free time. Mind giving me a config if it is a terminal config? It's an app that I built. And I have yet to make it public. If I ever make it public though, you're welcome to use it. I've kind of been like holding on to it because I've had a lot of fun working on it in my free time, and I don't want people to ruin all the fun I've had. I swear there were more. Also, what happened to all the viewers in your chat? I don't know, man. People come, people go, you know? I just show up and do the same thing, try to make a little progress on my current project and enjoy my morning drinking coffee and writing code. And some people join and some people don't, you know? I guess that's kind of one of the benefits of not doing this for a living, right? Is I don't have to be so obsessed with the metrics of it, you know? Feel bad for people who are like trying to make a living being a creator. Then you'd be panicked if all your views went away. Has the Artwork Studios guy joined during when I was busy? Yeah, he stops by still every now and then. Yeah, this is only the second time I've streamed this week, so. Yeah, my stream actually not even the stream crashed, my whole PC crashed. It happens. I don't know why it happens, but it happens. Crazy that you stuck around to see if I was coming back though. I think my coffee camera disconnected too. Yeah, exactly. The mic died and then the whole computer just died. What the hell? Where's the coffee camera? Maybe the IP changed on that. There we go. Now we're back. Now we're back in business. Hello, Minister of Defense. How are you? Working from home, I'm so jealous. You don't like the New York City office you're in, man? I don't know. Seems pretty legit, dude. I gotta blow my nose real quick, sorry. Your view looks pretty sick from your office. Okay, now we can finally get to business. I will document every time you go up your chair or to go make coffee. Go for it. No office is better than a home office. That's the truth. I mean, I still have yet in my entire career, I've still not had an office. You know? Never had like my own dedicated office, except at home. I'm getting a lot of exercise running after the train with this heavy backpack. So that part of working in New York City would not be for me. Having to do public transit, run around everywhere. I don't know if I'd like that. But you gotta do what you gotta do, right, man? Gotta chase the opportunity wherever you can find it. That's not what I wanted. Yes, Commands works on YouTube. Yeah, it works on YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to Code and Coffee in New York this weekend. That's awesome, dude. That'll be fun. Little Code and Coffee. My favorite thing, Code and Coffee. I still haven't been to the meetup here in Kansas City. I need to make time to go. I've been going to the .NET meetups, but I haven't been to a Code and Coffee meetup yet. Or you have 2 domains. I think right now I have 4 domains total, I think. And I probably don't need all of them, but right now I have 4 domains. Nope, that's not what I wanted. And if you are in the market for domains, I would highly recommend checking out porkbuns.com. They're the people I've bought my last like 3 domains from, and I've had a good experience with them. I have 4 too, actually. The one for my portfolio is the one I've been buying for 2 to 3 years now. Yeah, so I've had one that I've had forever, which is the StephenFreeborn.com one. I've had that for a long time. And then I recently bought 2 or 3 new ones. Mostly for stream or content related stuff, mostly. Why does it keep doing that? It's not opening an Ubuntu, it's opening duplicate pane. There we go. I must have been selecting the wrong one. Okay. Let's go ahead and fire up the good old NeoVim. And let's go ahead and fire up our server. And now we'll get to work on actually doing something. I need to go back in the gym and lift more. So if I want to tone up, I need to go for reps, not heavy weights, right? Not necessarily. I guess toning up is kind of a difficult thing to actually do. You know, you could lose weight or you can gain weight. You can lose muscle or gain muscle, but getting like, I think when people say they want to be toned, I think what they really mean is they want to be lean, right? And that is much more diet related than it is training related. So it's kind of I think toned is a combination of low body fat with a relative or proportionally high lean body mass, amount of lean body mass. So I think you're gonna have to do both. I think you're gonna have to get back in the gym and also pay attention to your diet. I used to use Spaceship for my main domain, but I transferred to Cloudflare after Spaceship does what Namecheap does, aka up the price after a year. Use Pork Bun for some domains. It's great. Yeah, so I use Pork Bun as the registrar, and then I use Cloudflare to do all the things, you know, DNS and all the great things Cloudflare provides for free. I'm too poor to eat in NYC, so diet problem has been solved. Well then, yeah, man. I mean, you're then in the perfect position. Just start going to the gym and keep living in New York City, and you'll be toned. No doubt about it. We need to come up with a name for this diet, and we can turn it into a book and start marketing it. The move to NYC for work diet. Google Cloudflare is great. Google Cloud depends because you are forced to use it for YouTube API. I've never really used Google Cloud for much of anything myself. Oh man, I love coffee. I love it so much. But they gave you $100 free credit for first time, or $400, I forget. Yeah, I think I remember having those free credits, but I don't think I remember using them for anything. I agree. All the cloud providers' user experiences could be streamlined. Amazon, GCP, Azure, they're all very messy, very convoluted. I use them to host Windows Server VMs. Yeah, I'm not a big user of cloud services, man. I'm just not a big fan of the pay-as-you-go model. It scares the shit out of me. I don't like not knowing what I'm gonna owe at the end of every month. I don't like that you can't set hard limits on things. Not a big fan. Oh yeah, totally. I'm not saying that it's not good for other reasons. Just personally, I don't use them because the bill scares me. I'm gonna turn up the music just slightly. There we go. Did you see Tenor discontinued their API and Kilpie and Giphy are here to dethrone it? I don't know what any of that is. I don't know what Tenor, Kilpie, or Giphy is. Well, I think actually I know what Giphy is. So is Tenor and Kilpie something like Giphy? All right, so we're going to get the authorization header. Headers.get authorization. It should return the token string if it exists, stripping off the bare prefix and white space. Okay, what does get return? Get returns the first value associated with the given key. If there are no values associated with the key, it returns an empty string. Okay, so if authorization header that, then we will return, and we'll turn an error. Missing authorization header. Okay, otherwise we will say token equals authorization header trim returns a slice of the string S with all leading and trailing Unicode points contained in cut set removed. Returns S without providing leading prefix string. If S doesn't start with prefix, S is returned unchanged. So we'll do prefix remove bearer. And then I think we just return the token. Create a secret for your server, store it in your environment variable. This is the secret used to sign and verify JWTs. By keeping it safe, no other servers will be able to create. Load the JWT secret from your ENV. We've already done that. Update your API log and endpoint. It should accept a new optional expires in seconds field in the request body. Okay, this is going to accept and expires in seconds, which is going to be an int. That. And I'm guessing we should validate it. A new virus is being installed on Android 8 and newer. It's the F-Droid threat we've all been scared of. I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. So it wants us to check to see if it was supplied, I guess. All right, so we'll just assume you can't supply 0. How about that? So what we'll do is we'll say validate, and we'll do this in validate. So we'll say we're going to invert this logic. And we're going to say return nil. Then what we're going to do, if we pass that test, then what we're going to do is we're going to say if login, if r dot expires in seconds is greater than 0, no, if r dot expires in is greater than 1 hour, which is going to be 60 times 60 times 60, right? There's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour. What is that? That's 360 times 60. 3,600. Yeah, that's right. So if it's greater than that, I'm actually going to put this in a variable up here. Seconds per hour. Then we want to set that. Okay, and then the other case is so if seconds is greater than we'll do this. We're going to rename this. We're going to do max expiration in seconds, and then we're also going to do min expiration in seconds. So this means, okay, if r dot expires in seconds is less than, yeah. So basically all we're doing is we're saying it's always going to be an hour unless you give us some non-zero value that is between 1 and 3,600. Now we need to create our token. So if we get down here, we're going to say token equals auth dot what? Auth dot something. Make the JWT. We need the existing user ID. We need the token string and the expires in. So we'll say token. Sorry, s dot jwt secret. And then time dot duration. Parse duration parses a duration string. So we basically want to create a duration that's that many seconds. So I think we do login request. But I don't think we want that. We want login request times time dot seconds. All right. Expires in duration. Why does it keep trying to cast that? Expires. Oh. What the hell? So is this not necessary? Okay. If air does not equal nil, then we are going to return a 500 response. And we are going to say API error equals login failed. Don't know why it failed, but it did. Yeah, I think that's what they want. Are you focused enough not to read chat? Yeah, sometimes I let chat go, but there's not very many people here, so it's all good. What's the countdown? Oh, that's just a Pomodoro timer. I basically use it as a way to try to make progress and then also find places to take a break while I'm streaming. Otherwise, I spend way too much time in the chair. Okay, so now we need to do handle create chirp. The very first thing we need to do is we need to make sure this is authorized. So we will do bear token. equals auth.get bearer token. We'll pass in r.header. If error does not equal nil, we will say return write JSON response. This is going to be a status code 401. And we'll just say error. You are not authorized to perform this. Then we'll do auth dot validate JWT. It's our bearer token, and then we'll pass in our JWT secret. Obviously, this is definitely something you'd want to put in a middleware function. Middleware. Why can't I say that properly? This is something you'd want to put in a middleware function. And then we need to make sure the user ID is for the same user. Right? Well, our create chirp request has a user ID on it. So is he saying we should remove that? Yeah. So they're basically saying we need to remove this operation. Although I still think we should probably check to make sure the user exists in our database. So let's remove this. Ah, crap, I always do that. There we go. Don't need this anymore. We'll rename this to request user ID. And I think actually we should move this up I mean, this kind of defeats the purpose of this what I'm doing here kind of defeats the purpose of the JWT, because the JWT is supposed to be the stateless token, right? So it's supposed to help you prevent having to need to check the database every single time your user performs an action. So this actually is kind of dumb to do in this case, but I find that in most applications, your JWT is usually going to turn into something like a session, because you're going to want to do, you know, role-based access control or attribute-based access control. You're probably going to have, in the real world, you're probably going to have a JWT and then a refresh token is actually what's going to happen. And then your JWT is going to be very short-lived. So let's go ahead and just remove this call. That's fine. And we'll come down here and we'll say request user ID, like that. Yeah, that's fine. For some reason, every old GitHub project homepage now is AI or something. Everything's AI at this point. Everyone's website is AI. Yeah. It's a weird world we live in, for sure. Right now, I think we just have a lot of people who are very excited about the technology, and I think they're far more interested in seeing what they can create with the technology than interested in creating useful or meaningful things for other humans, regardless of if they use AI or not to do it. But eventually, I think that'll go away. I think eventually that will cool off, hopefully. We have made so many. Hey, what's up, iSpooky? We have made so many AI internal tools at work that people hate using.
Did we just become best friends?
Of Sater, thanks for following the channel. Appreciate it. Very kind of you. Yeah. I think we'll eventually get to a place where this, like, I don't know, maybe I'm more chronically online than some, but like the thing I see recently, especially when it comes to content, especially like programming, coding, technology content, is there seems to be a lot of people who are very excited about sharing what they were able to get AI to do, which, you know, that's their prerogative. Like, people are allowed to make content about what they want to make it about. But I think eventually we're going to get back to a point where people are more excited about making things that other humans actually care about. And whether or not they used AI to do that, who cares, right? I think generative AI will eventually kind of just land in the tools bucket of things. It's like, here's a tool that I have access to that I can use to do things with. Same way we treat IDEs or editors or anything like that. Excuse me, but we're still probably about 24 months, I would guess, out from that eventually reaching that state. We need a market correction, and I think we're probably still somewhere between 18 and 24 months before we see a significant market correction. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with liking the technology. I love LAMP. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, I think we're in a unique, interesting, strange time. I enjoy making fun solutions and solving problems for people, not writing boilerplate and repetitive code. I could totally see AI being used that way. I think what people have to be careful with their AI usage is if you're using AI to do things that you don't care about or to build things that you don't really care about, and then you expect other people to care about them or love them, I think you're a little delulu, you know? like you I think users and I think human beings can tell when they interact with products or tools or solutions that somebody put a lot of time, care, attention, and feeding into it, whether or not you used AI to write it or not, right? The fact that you cared about it and you polished it and you shaped it and you sculpted it, I think that comes through in the final product. But if you are just slopping things out, right, and expecting other people to use it or care about it or want to interact with it, I think you're sort of missing the boat, you know, just kind of like what you said with all these internal tools that you mentioned. Yeah. Which is why I say I think eventually we're going to fall into a place where AI is a tool, and we're going to stop talking so much about what model I used, what harness I used, how many tokens I burned, yada, 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 yada. That's going to become less interesting, and we're going to go back to caring about actually making things, not using AI to make things. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for holding it down for us on YouTube and Twitch. Appreciate it. Although I'm not sure what referral all the way means. Our KPI for this year said engineers need to work 5 times faster. Oh man, I'm so sorry, iSpooky. I'm so sorry you find yourself in that type of situation. I think what you'll see is you'll see human beings do what they always do. Human beings will go to the place they want to be, right? And they're willing to pay. Human beings are willing to pay to be in places they want to be. So if a bunch of human beings decide, you know what, I don't like hanging out online over here in XYZ place, they'll find a place they do want to hang out at. And if that's related to whether it's filled with AI generated content or not, somebody who's smart and business savvy will fill that need, you know. The supply will rise to meet demand, you know. So if you have a big demand of people who want to hang out in places where AI slop does not exist, someone will solve that. And I if I had to guess, there's probably going to be bifurcation. You're going to have people who don't care, and you'll have people who do care, and there'll be online spaces that cater to both. Kind of like what you've seen with Codeberg, right? Same example where people who are really interested in building software and making software, I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of people who are either anti-AI or just don't want to deal with AI generated stuff. You'll see a lot of them go and use Codeberg. I think that's going to pop up all over the place. Caleb, what model you on to? I don't know what you mean, Caleb. If you mean by model, you mean AI model, then I would say none. Because I haven't been using AI to generate code much. I'm one of those few remaining trad coders. At work, you using AI to gen code? I don't, but we don't really have any type of strange KPI or metrics around whether or not AI is being used. We have approved AI tools that are like approved usage, right? They're like they've gone through whatever vetting process that needs to happen to approve them, but there's no metrics or token maxing scoreboard or anything like that. And I don't think a lot of the other engineers use much AI either. Just based on conversations, you know. I mean, honestly, it's not, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, I still very much enjoy writing code and doing that work. But I understand if people don't and they want to use AI to help speed them along. More power to you, you know. I use Claude because ChatGPT is now monitored by the military or something. Huh. Hadn't heard that one. How is your experience with Go? I love Go, yeah. I've been writing Go for almost a year now. We started learning Go for Advent of Code last year, and it was a blast. Had a ton of fun. Did all 24 puzzles in Go and built a couple different applications in Go. So yeah, I like it as a language. I could definitely see it being something that I would want to work in professionally. For sure. Do you use the PowerToys letter character selector? I have no idea what that is. So probably not. Oh, wow. I thought every company was all in on AI, maybe just buying into the AI marketing. Well, I mean, our company has started to try to integrate more AI features into our platform. But as far as you must use AI, you must token max. There's not, I guess fingers crossed or knock on wood, we've largely escaped that. I think most people at our company have a pretty sound middle of the road view, which is AI is useful for some things, AI is not useful for others, and if we can leverage it in productive ways, we should. But we shouldn't just do it for the sake of doing it. Yes, I would say yes. We have a very small team, and it's basically all seniors. X1. Hi, Steven. How are you doing? I'm doing good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for being a member on the YouTubes, man. I appreciate that. Music artist also screwed up AI support that humans redirected the artist to because he wanted to remove copyright after someone stole his song, and the AI ended up deleting the song from every store instead of only YouTube Content ID. Huh. Huh. I don't even know what to say about that. Go figure. Okay. We are going to implement refresh tokens. Although I personally think 1 hour for an access token is way too long. I feel like an access token should live for like 15-minute max, and I'd probably set it to 5 minutes in most cases. All right, let's implement. Let's do it. Should we blame the AI or the user? Don't know, man. This is the world we live in. Who's responsible for things? I have no idea. I'm sure the lawyers will figure it out, though. You know? I guarantee the lawyers will figure it out. Somebody is going to make their entire career and a shit ton of money off of sorting out the liability around AI, generative AI usage, if they haven't already. Did I do that right? Oh, I put the plus in the wrong. So we could drop table, refresh tokens. And this one will be create table, refresh tokens. Do some field stuff here. Yeah, they will blame the human. Let's be real. Humans easier to sue than OpenAI. Well, it's definitely right now. That's definitely the case, right? Like right now, there's really not a good framework for how to deal with liability. So our entire system right now is kind of predicated on, like, at the end of the day, the human or the company is sort of responsible, or that's what I would predict would happen if any of this goes to court. But I'm going to assume over time, if things continue to go on the trajectory they're going on, companies and individuals are going to need to have some way to put a framework or structures or systems around transferring that liability to the agent, right? Because, like, you got to think of something like Hugging Face, the OpenAI Hugging Face hack, right? I know there's a lot of dumb, idiotic things about that situation, but how does a company in good conscience turn agents loose or allow agents to run unattended, knowing the risk of the agent doing something like that and the company being liable for the fallout, right? Like, imagine OpenAI didn't hack Hugging Face, but imagine some independent company's agent hacks Merck, right? Not, or Maersk, the shipping company, right? Let's say you're running an e-commerce store and you have some agent, and that agent needs some information and decides, oh, it's going to go hack this other third-party system, right, to get the information it needs. Like a company's going to need to be able to insure against that risk. Is going to need to be able to somehow deal with that liability. And I would guess you'll eventually see instruments to do that. I don't know, systems, instruments. I don't know how you can operationalize a lot of this unless you address that. Mark, man, did you learn C# before, right? C# was the first programming language I ever learned. If that is the case, can I ask some repo or learning material you have? I don't have very good learning recommendations other than I can recommend Tim Corey's stuff on YouTube is good. I can recommend Nick Chops's content on YouTube is very good. Patrick God's channel on YouTube is very good. There is also a free Codecamp C# certification course that I thought was good. It's in partnership with Microsoft. Thought that was good. I can't really say I used all those resources to learn C# though, because I learned C# when I took computer programming 1 and 2 in college. So it's difficult for me to, I can't really attribute my learning experience to those things, but those resources I mentioned have been helpful along the way. So that's where I would point you. Banks are trying to introduce AI into their apps and let it perform transactions. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. That was my thought when Cloudflare announced the agent wallet thing. I thought I had two thoughts. One was I don't think agents need wallets. Two, my other thought was I don't think anybody outside of San Francisco really cares if their agent has a wallet. You know, like most people are struggling to pay for gas and food right now. They're not worried about having an agentic system that is able to perform transactions on their behalf.
To lift some weights.
Okay, I'll lift some weights. The hackers are already seeding their models to make them move money in their offshore accounts. Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. All right, weights were lifted. Weights have been lifted.
Ispozoki is reminding you to hydrate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We do have to stay hydrated. We have a token. We do not have a token. So we have token, created at, updated at, user ID, expires at, revoked at. And this can be null. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and do goose up. Looks like that ran successfully. Now we need to add a make refresh token function. Make refresh token. So we will do ran.read. Rand fills B with cryptographically secure random bytes. It never returns an error and always fills B entirely. So we need 32 bytes. Why are you mad? Cannot use bytes. Okay, how do I hold on. Why does this return int an error and it says it never returns an error and always fills B entirely? What? That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna have to go and read the docs on that one. That's confusing. Ran.read. Oops. It always returns a nil error. Huh. That is the weirdest signature for a method that never actually returns. So we have to do it this way. Make an array of bytes 32. And then I think we don't even need to Maybe we need to do that. Now we need to use the hex encode to string. Easy enough. Update the post API login endpoint to return a refresh token as well as an access token. Access token should expire after 1 hour. You can remove the optional expires and parameters from the endpoint. I hate that it's having us add shit and then remove it. I absolutely hate that. So now we've got to go back up here. Login request. So they want me to remove this, which means we don't need all that dumbass stuff. Remove this. So this is going to be seconds per hour, which is 3,600. And then we also need the refresh token, right? So let's rename this to access token. And then we'll say refresh token equals auth.make refresh token. Then we need to store that in the database. Okay. Let's see. We should only generate the refresh token if the access token is successful. Rohan Wad, what Linux distro are you using? I am not using a Linux distro. I am using Windows. I'm currently using WSL though for development on this boot.dev stuff I'm doing. But normally I just work on a Windows machine. Or I guess I should say, I normally just use the Windows host. I don't usually use WSL to do development. Usually the only thing I use WSL for is having Docker desktop set up. But boot.dev is very opinionated that if you're a Windows user, you should use WSL to complete their courses. So that's what I'm following their recommendation. We should complain to Lane, yeah. Hey man, you really need to get on this, okay? Figure out how to make it work with Windows, okay? Don't know what your problem is. I mean, I'm sure I could make it work. Like, I'm sure I have all the skills and knowledge needed to make it work. But I'm guessing you probably have to do... That would probably add a little bit of friction to the experience that is probably unnecessary, right? So now we need to store this in the database. So let's go ahead and add some queries. Refresh tokens And let's just copy the create user. Excuse me. Put that in there. Create refresh token. And then let's copy these fields so that I can reference them. Okay, so we need ID, created at, updated at, not ID, right? This is going to be token. And let's actually move that over here. And let's remove this guy. So we have now, token. We don't need email. We do need expires at, revoked at, which is optionally nullable. And then we need user ID. So we only need 3 placeholders, I think. No, 4 placeholders. 3 and 4. Like that. So when we create it, we'll set that to now. Now we'll get the token from the user or from the caller. Get the expires at from the caller. We'll get the revoked at from the caller and the user ID from the caller. We'll also need some other queries. We need a query to revoke the token, and we need a query to fetch the token. Get user from refresh token. That's what he called his query. Get user from refresh. Actually, I'm gonna do get refresh token by get user. How do I want to do that? So if you send me your refresh token, I have to use the token. Oh, we're on break. Oh, we were on break. LOL. Now we'll be on break. Did you guys know this was a thing? Look at this little blurb right here. I was calculating how many seconds in an hour. Sexagesimal? Did you guys know this was a thing? Also known as base 60, is a numeral system with 60 as its base. It originated with ancient Sumerians in the 3rd millennium BC. Huh. Sexagesimal. Is that how you say that? I'm such a child for thinking that sounds funny. Or speaker bot.
Sexagesimal.
That's funny. What can you say, you know? Also use DuckDuckGo. Yeah, we've been using DuckDuckGo on stream because it kind of adds a little bit of friction because we can turn off the AI overviews. And primarily when I'm working on stuff in my free time, I'm most interested in just getting better, not really being the most efficient. So I like the little bit of friction that it forces to actually have to go and read documentation and look things up the old-fashioned way. I know, I'm a Luddite, but you know, it's how I like to spend my time, right? Oh, it doesn't work on YouTube. Oh, the speak and the say command are only for YouTube members or Twitch subscribers. That's a benefit just for people who use their money to support my channels. Which you don't need to, but as a I'm just trying to find ways to say thank you for people who do. And I feel like text to speech is a fun way to do that. Let's see what's going on in the news. Oh God. Anthropic prepares for potential initial public offering. I wonder if they'll actually go through with it. Because OpenAI said they were going to, and then they backed off after a whole lot of close examination, I think, by a lot of folks. What the hell? Why is this not? There we go. Anthropic investors think it's worth $2 trillion. They think Anthropic is worth more than Apple? No way, dude. No fucking way. We've lost our fucking minds, bro. That's crazy. Investors in Claude developer Anthropic are reportedly setting a $2 trillion target for its October IPO in an eye-watering and potentially risky play to set a record valuation. There's no way they get that. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. One claimed that oh my God, why can't I say that? One claimed that 2 trillion was actually a lowball figure, given Anthropic's rate of expansion, and suggested 3 trillion on the incredibly low side. Dude, I mean, how disconnected from reality do you have to be to actually say that and believe it? That is crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Larzania. What's up, Bradley? Can we make a new command, like canceling a command given by someone? That seems like it would just end up in just chaos. Okay, I'm gonna have to read more about this. This is wild. 2 trillion. So what is Apple's what is Apple valuation today? Yeah, but how many shares are outstanding? Apple total market cap. Okay, 4 trillion. So Apple's market cap is 4 trillion. So they're not saying, Anthropic is not saying they're more valuable than Apple. They're saying they're half as valuable. I don't know. What's Walmart's market cap? Man, that's crazy. That's crazy that people think SpaceX and Anthropic are more valuable than Walmart. That's just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, man. I'm skeptical. I'm going to keep putting my money into the stock market, but man, are we headed for some turbulent times. That's just, that's, my brain is kind of broken at the moment thinking about this. Hello, Adam. Are you on Claude Code or Codex? Adam, I'm on neither, unfortunately. You've found yourself in the presence of a trad coder. I'm on neither. The Bash Script Kid. Bro, comparing Anthropic shares to Walmart is beyond unexpected on me. Huh. I guess it, to me it's not, because when you start talking about total valuation of a company, like, I'm thinking of companies that actually tangibly make money and produce things and are sort of load-bearing pillars, at least in the US economy. And so when you start saying my company, my AI lab should be same thing with SpaceX. I mean, I feel the same way about SpaceX. When you say my AI lab is more load-bearing and is more valuable to the US economy than a company that primarily supplies most people's food and living supplies, I'm just kind of skeptical, man. I'm skeptical, you know? Consumerism, fuck the world. Lamp, you used to code with AI though? I mean, it's not that I don't know how or that I've never used AI to generate code. It's just I haven't been using it much lately. So like I was a very early and consistent user when GitHub Copilot was just basically really, really great tab completion. And I've used Claude Code, I've used OpenCode, I've used the anti-gravity CLI, what used to be the Gemini CLI quite a bit, I've used the Copilot CLI. So I've used all these tools. And I still use OpenCode and the anti-gravity CLI quite a bit, but I don't use them to really generate code. I do use it to like do research, ask questions, explore code, kind of act as like a research assistant and pair programmer, but I still write a lot of the code myself personally. And that's not, I'm not trying to make a, I'm not, the way I live my life does not have to be a critique on the way you live your life, you know? So you do you, and I'll do me, and we can all be happy, you know? I just paid Anthropic, though I feel like I'm wasting it. Yeah, I don't know. I pay 20, the only AI subscription I currently pay for is Gemini. But I had an existing Google Cloud subscription, and all of the AI products and stuff got bundled into their existing subscriptions. So it's just like, okay, well, I guess I'll take advantage of the benefit. But yeah, it's crazy to me that some people are out there paying $200 a month for a Claude Code subscription. That's wild to me. Or like, I think Gemini has a $250 a month pro plan. I don't know. I think it's wild that people are spending hundreds of dollars a month to generate code they can write by hand themselves, but that's just me, you know? If you're lucky enough to have your company pay for it, that's awesome. But yeah, people who are doing it for their own personal use, I think is pretty crazy. I guess unless you're making money from what you're building. Which Google subscription plan do you have for 1 terabyte storage? I think my Google subscription plan is the Pro. Google Google One account. Sorry, let me look it up real quick. Google One. Google AI Pro is the subscription plan I have. And I think they have more expensive ones than that though. I think they have like a $200 or $100 a month plan. But yeah, I don't really need all that. I'd much rather take that $100 and invest it in the stock market. If you want a cheaper alternative is to go for Google AI Pro and use Antigravity's Claude Opus, I guess. Yeah, I've been perfectly happy with the usage I've gotten out of my Gemini subscription or my Google subscription. Like I said, I don't use it. I don't really token max like I'm sure I guess a lot of other people are doing in 2026. I'm kind of like, if you guys have ever heard like Casey Muratori talk about this topic, I feel very similar to how Casey feels about it. I just, just because there's somebody out there who can lift more weights than me, it doesn't mean that I don't want to lift weights, right? And so just because there's a tool out there that can write code faster than I can, doesn't mean I don't still want to write code myself and do things myself, Or like, I think Casey's example was, I think the example he used was, just because there's drum machines doesn't mean people don't want to play the drums. That's kind of how I personally feel about it. I vibed in prod yesterday and I'm paying the cost today. You always pay the cost. I made a short about that from a couple streams back where, yeah, I feel you, ye old effect. Every time I've ever generated a lot of code really fast, I always end up regretting it because eventually the agent does get stuck and I've got to figure out how to get it unstuck, which means I've got to figure out what the hell it's done. Which people tell me is a skill issue, but it's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with having a skill issue. What is even token maxing? Well, I think token maxing is just a fun way to refer to all those initiatives that kind of kicked off like 6 months ago inside a lot of these big tech companies where people basically spun up like leaderboards to measure their usage. And then people just started gaming their token usages. I know, crazy, right? You set a metric, and then a bunch of engineers figure out how to game that metric. So wild. How many RAM slots do you need for 64 gigabytes? I honestly don't know. I have 64 gigabytes of RAM on this machine, but it's a mini PC, so I've never looked inside of it, so I'm not really sure. I mean, I feel like the biggest sticks of RAM I've ever seen have been like 32 gigabyte sticks myself. So I would think you need at least 2 slots in your machine, but I'm guessing there's probably larger sticks of RAM out there that I'm not aware of, because I've seen machines that have like terabytes of RAM, So I'm not really sure how all that works. I still have never built my own PC. I'd love to do that at some point. I still have sexagesimal in my clipboard. There we go. Was the plan for today? The plan is just to do boot.dev for another little bit, probably another, what is it? I've been live for an hour and a half, probably another 15-ish minutes or so, a couple hours. And then I'll go upstairs and I'll kiss my beautiful wife and tell her good morning and give my kids hugs and tell them good morning. And then we'll start our Friday. This is my kids' first full day of school. They started back to school yesterday, but it was just a half day. And then they'll go off to school. I'll work till about 5 o'clock. And then we've got football practice tonight. What else? That's probably it. You know? Just have a nice, chill Friday. Nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy. Hey, what's up, Suhas? 15 minutes? No. Yeah, I mean, I could stick around a little later, but yeah, roughly about there. I want to go up there and see them all before they have to usually leave for school. They probably need to get in the car and be on the road in the next hour or so to get to school on time. So I want to be up there and see them for a little bit. How old is your kid? I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. I have a 5th grader and a 3rd grader, if you can believe that. I sometimes can't believe it some days, but it is actually pretty crazy. Revoke refresh token. And this is just going to be an exe command. And this is going to be very similar to this. New haircut? Yeah, we did. We went last Friday or Thursday. I took my oldest to get a haircut, and while we were there, I got one myself too. Can you please schedule your stream like I can prepare? Well, most of the time you can kind of expect me to be live sometime between 4 o'clock a.m. and 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. I think on Twitch I set the schedule to 4:15 to 6:15 is the schedule I set, but that's roughly when I aim to be live. But some mornings it's harder to get out of bed, you know. Especially if I stayed up too late the night before. Where token equals 471. Yeah, that looks right. So we got get refresh token by token. That's kind of a dumbass name, but that's what we're doing. Create refresh token and revoke refresh token. Looks good. Hey, I currently learning Go. Can't wrap my head around star and the ampersand. I can understand which has the address of the value. So the star character is like, hey, I have a pointer, right? An address. And then the ampersand is how you... No, it's the other way around. The star is the dereference, right? And the ampersand gets you the reference. I'm planning to get 16 gigabytes more because I only have 16 gigabytes of RAM and I'm living in pain right now. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you there. I don't know how people still... I can't believe companies still sell laptops with 8 gigabytes of RAM in it. It's wild. Why bro is looking like a drill instructor? I don't know. This is just the haircut that I've had for the last few years. As long as my wife doesn't complain about the way I look, then I'm good. Life is much simpler when you only have to impress one lady. No, I'm saying you look good. Oh, no, I wasn't saying you were saying I look bad. I was just explaining my haircut, you know? Okay. I think we're good. I'm well overdue for a haircut. Yeah, that tends to be how I go. I try to get like a haircut every quarter. So when I do go, I try to make it worth my money, you know? My boys, I usually take the boys more often. Maybe they probably get their haircut maybe 4 to 6 weeks, every 4 to 6 weeks. But I try to hold out as long as I can. How's the dog? He's good. Yeah, he's just an old man, you know? He's kind of an asshole. He can't really hear very well, and I'm pretty sure he's got some cataracts in his eyes, so he can't see very well. So he kind of just likes to do whatever he wants. But he's good. Oh, Rithvik, I know what I was gonna say about your question, about your comment about the star and the ampersand operator in Go. I think what's confusing sometimes is when you declare a type as a pointer, you use the star, but when you want to get the value at a particular address in memory, you use the star to dereference. So that's a little bit confusing to some extent, in my opinion. But I feel like the more Go you write, and probably the more C or any like C-like language you write, you know, that makes use of those operators, the less confusing it gets. You probably just need more reps, you know, more reps. That's the answer to most things. More reps. Is he at the point where he does not give an F what you say to him? He just doesn't really like to do things, you know? He wants to go outside and he wants to stay outside as long as he wants to be outside. But he's old, you know? He's old, so we'll give him a wide berth. Oh, I need to generate the SQL. There we go. Should have some new queries here. Looks good. Yeah, that looks all good. Why? Oh, it's because I left this in here. There we go. That looks correct. So now how am I supposed to wire this stuff up? We need to store it in the database. So let's go ahead and do, instead of this, let's do refresh token equals database.create refresh token params. Token will be auth.make refresh token. And then we'll do s.database.create refresh token. We give it the request context and our create refresh token params. Like that. Vivek, I'm coming from TypeScript. How do you guys in Golang world work with SQL? Are there any popular ORMs like Drizzle or Prisma for TS, or it's mostly writing raw SQL and converting them to types? So Rithvik, I have to be completely upfront and honest. I've never worked with Go in like a professional production setting. The only experience I've had with Go has been in my own personal projects. And I've had very limited experience working with a database in Go. Previously, I worked with an ORM, I think called SQLX, I think is the name of it. Let me just look that up to make sure I'm not talking out my ass. SQLX Golang. Okay, SQLX is not even an ORM. I feel like maybe I'm thinking of SQLX that I used in Rust. I'm looking at some of the projects I wrote in Rust last year, or in Go last year. Yeah, no, SQLX is what I used. So I guess I should say I haven't used an ORM in Go. What boot.dev is having me use is a combination of writing raw SQL and then using some command line tools to help generate the code, the Go code. So basically we write the migrations in SQL, and then we're using Goose, which is a CLI tool to run the migrations. And then we're using SQL C to generate Go code from SQL queries that we've written in raw SQL. And that's what boot.dev is having me do. But my only other experience working with a database in Go, I used SQLX, which seems to be basically just a lightweight extension of the built-in SQL package in Go. It doesn't look like it's a full-fledged ORM. But I'm guessing there are tools out there like that. Like when you say you're coming from TypeScript, I'm guessing there are Prisma-like equivalents, you know? Ryan, did you look at SQL C? That is what we're using. Yeah, we're using SQL C right now in the boot.dev project. Suas, as the quality engineer, you have to deal with a lot of AI code. What do you think? Is it mostly AI or humans write manually? So I personally don't deal with a lot of AI code myself. Maybe other people are dealing with a lot of AI generated code, but in my workplace, that's not really been an issue. I think obviously with AI generated code, in order to keep up with it, if you are using AI to generate code and to increase the velocity at which you implement features, you definitely probably do need good testing practices, which was also kind of a rarity to begin with anyways. So yeah, I don't know what organizations are doing to keep up with it. For whatever reason, I've never understood why programming and coding is so, I guess programming coding is a bad word. I've never understood why software engineering is so immature when it comes to their quality practices. I've never, coming from a manufacturing background, I don't understand it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that developers generally seem to be kind of lazier individuals, and they're always trying to find ways to avoid doing work, and particularly avoid doing work they don't want to do. And testing usually falls in that category. And so developers also tend to be very intellectually capable and very smart. So I think a lot of developers they create all these like deep intellectual and philosophical discussion points and conversations around testing, largely just to avoid doing it. My philosophy is if you didn't test it, it doesn't work. That's my philosophy. So if you're not testing your code, if you're not testing what you're building, you're just making it someone else's problem, and I think that's a shitty attitude. All right, now that we've created our refresh token, we need to actually, let's see, created refresh token. If error does not equal nil, we'll return the same thing. Let's actually extract this to just login failed. Righto. And then we need to actually do refresh token equals created refresh token dot token. And we need to add that. There's a difference between we're sorry, get rollback, and we are going to call back to that 20,000 units. I mean, that's valid. That is actually super valid. I mean, when you're dealing with atoms versus bits, there's definitely a difference in cost. I just kind of find it unacceptable still, personally. I just think it's a really shitty way to approach quality practices, but you know, I do the best I can where I work, and I try to be an advocate for having mature and advanced approaches to ensuring quality. But you know, at the end of the day, you work for a company and a business, and you have to do what they ask you to do. I don't think I supplied all the token expires at revoked at user ID. So revoked at is just SQL null time. Valid is true if time is not null. So this should be valid is false, and time should be nil. Time dot null. Like that. And then expires at should be 60 days, right? So this will be time dot now dot add 60 times time dot time dot day, or month, weekday. There's got to be a day constant, right? There's a hour, second. I don't see one. Go time dot day constant. Move fast, break things. I think that's what a lot of people's attitude is towards it, you know. I think a lot of software companies also use the excuse that, you know, when you're a startup and you're trying to find product market fit, proper quality practices just slow you down, which I disagree with. I don't think quality practices slow you down. They do add time, but I think that the better the quality practices you have, the more velocity compounds over time, in my opinion. So there's definitely an upfront investment, but I think it's well worth the investment, in my opinion. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're beholden to your company and what they value, you know, unless you're running the show, right? Unless you're running the show. So there is not a time dot day. There's a time dot hour. So we can do time dot hour times 24. And then what was the last thing? User ID, which is going to be request existing user. There we go. All right, so that should be good for creating our refresh token. Let's see, not following good quality practices is stealing 10 minutes of your future time for every 1 minute you save. Yeah, I do think there is some, I'm not sure what the exact ratio is, but there is some trade-off that you're making, right? And to me, the trade-off that concerns me most is just the lack of confidence and the lack of confidence at which you can make changes, and the aggressiveness or the size of those changes that you can make and still have confidence in the thing you're deploying or sending to your users and your customers. To me, that's the big drawback, I think, of ignoring quality up front. And then the unfortunate thing is, the longer you go, the more months and years that pass without you addressing good quality standards, the more of a headache it becomes to try to retroactively put those practices into place, because you've accumulated so much, you know, for lack of a better word, tech debt, that then it becomes this insurmountable chore, right, that nobody wants to undertake and nobody wants to do, and that momentum just carries on, right? So it's like, well, we're always scared to change this piece of code, but the reason we're scared to change this piece of code is because we don't have good testing around it. And then that just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow over time. And that momentum tends to result in nothing ever changing and nothing ever being done. And I think a lot of times too, it's pretty hard to go back and add testing into a code base that wasn't originally written or authored or designed to be testable. You know, like I just listened to a talk by the creator of SQLite, Richard Hipp, and he talked about that, how, you know, you really need to, when it comes to testing or quality, you really do need to build your product or your software with the end in mind, in a sense, which is, I think, very true. Hello, Soggy Right Sock. Nice username, man. Suhas, it is also similar to AI. AI gives you speed in exchange for understanding. Yep, everything has a trade-off. You're a wise man, Suhas. You're a wise man. It's 7:44 a.m. here. I'm in Kansas. I hope things are well in Utah for you, Soggy Right Sock. Okay, now we need to add a refresh token endpoint. This is going to be a post to API refresh server.handle refresh, which doesn't exist yet, but it will. See, testing is one thing, but I'm seeing a lot of AI PRs come in, and so are the tests. The tests are usually garbage, happy path tests, just meeting the bare minimums. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is like, I understand what you're saying, Bradley, but to me, that's part of the problem right now. That's part of the problem in software engineering, is basically we want to have a conversation about the quality of tests when we lack testing generally, right? I'm a believer that I'll take a shitty test over no test any day. You can always make a shitty test a better test, right? But you know, I'll much more vote for half-assed, half-generated AI garbage slop tests than just not writing tests. Yeah, and I think that's part of the issue I take with a lot of developers when you start talking about testing, is they intellectualize it. You know, it's like, I mean, it's the same thing with when you're building something and you're writing the production code. There's always a way you probably could have written it better so that it was more maintainable or more extensible. But at the end of the day, you need to build something that works and then make it work better and then make it work well, make it fast, make it maintainable. You iterate, right? So testing should be no different. Your tests can start out simple and stupid and bad, and then you can add tests, remove tests, add a better test infrastructure, right? You can just iterate on it. But I think a lot of times developers just want to sit and have conversations about what testing should or shouldn't be in order to avoid ever having to actually sit down and do the testing. I've built a mutation gate in onto our CI, which uses Striker and fails the CI if too many mutants survive. It's improving things. I'm not familiar with what a mutation gate is, and I'm also not familiar with Striker. So you've given me some homework to go and do some learning. Ryan, I really hate mocking. I'm perfectly fine with mocking. You know, I'm perfectly okay with it. I mean, I'm a big fan of integration tests. I think I'm much more a fan of a diamond shaped testing period, right? As few unit tests as you need, lots of integration tests, minimal end-to-end test. Because I think in today's world, with a lot of the technologies we have, like test containers and a lot of good mocking libraries for external services, you can get a lot of bang for your buck by writing good integration tests where you mock out external services, use test containers to spin up containers of important services, right? Like mock out the GitHub API, but spin up an actual MongoDB database in Docker. Yeah, I think it goes back to like there's definitely there's definitely a spectrum of good to bad when it comes to testing. But if you have no tests, I don't give a shit. If you aren't writing tests, I don't give a shit about what you think about tests, right? Because you don't even have any to begin with. So, my issue is that not that AI wrote the test, but AI wrote the code and the test, so the developer doesn't know what they're doing. Oh, that's a whole different issue. Yeah, whole different issue there, Bradley. That's like people who say they use AI to verify AI, you know? Diamond shape. Where did you pick that up? I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I don't know where I heard it for the first time, but I really do. You know, classically, the statement has always been. Where's my cursor at? There it is. Classically, everyone's always described testing with a pyramid, right? And I think that's a really bad pyramid, or I guess it should be a triangle. That's a really bad triangle. Everyone's always said, you know, think of testing like a pyramid, right? So you have your unit, you have your integration, and then you have your end-to-end. Which this probably made a lot of sense, you know, let's say 10 years ago. But now, with almost all languages having really good solutions for mocking external APIs, and now you have containers, I think it makes a lot more sense to have a testing suite that's represented by a diamond, where you have unit tests maybe for really complicated or very important maybe business logic, right? That's kind of isolated and doesn't really deal with a lot of external dependencies. But then I think you can probably get away with writing a bunch more integration tests that test many pieces of your code operating together, as long as you have tools like test containers and mocking libraries for third-party services, so that you can control state, and then the minimum number of end-to-end tests, because end-to-end tests are just super fucking slow. They're a pain in the ass to orchestrate, to set up an environment. I mean, definitely the tooling around end-to-end tests have gotten better, but again, they're slow, right? So I think the diamond makes more sense nowadays. But I don't know who I stole that from. I'm sure I saw that either on X or a YouTube video or something at some point. Suha slops the slop. Yeah, that seems to be the world we live in right now. Use AI to generate the spec, that the AI then implements the spec, the AI then writes the tests for the implementation, and the AI then reviews the implementation and the tests. I mean, what's crazy is like that's literally what people are building for like the software factory, right? You guys have heard this term of the software factory. That's literally what people are building. It's crazy. Mocking is fine. It's the constant use of over mocking, whereby people in .NET world love their I blah 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 interfaces and mock the hell out of things where you can and should use the concrete thing. Yeah, I think it's all dependent on what you're trying to test, right? What is your test trying to accomplish? I think there's times where it makes sense to mock. I think there's times where it's not necessary, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, write the test, man. Write the test, and then we can have a conversation, right, about like, is it a good test or is it a bad test? But I'd much rather have a test than let's not write any test, you know? Same thing with like writing production code. I'd much rather have production code that works, right, than sit and have a conversation about the ivory tower architecture of like the best way to do this thing, right? Development should be iterative. Engineering is iterative. You solve things in an iterative fashion. It's not a one and done process. Hello, Cy Sheriff. Good to see you. I've been really liking outside-in tests with a deterministic simulator. Huh. I've never heard that quote. I've always just kind of subscribed to the idea that the more your test can focus on the observable behavior, right? Maybe the focus more on the input and the output than the actual implementation details, the more robust your tests tend to be, right? You don't have to change the test every time you make an implementation change. Sometimes that's not achievable. Sometimes you do need to test things in such a way that the implementation bleeds, knowledge of the implementation bleeds into your test, especially if you're in a code base where it's been iterated on by a bunch of developers over a decade and nobody really thought about testing as a first-class citizen. You got to do what you got to do. But I think it's it's good to have like aspirational, right? Aspirational vision of like, here are the things we want to try to do when we can, right? But just because we can't have the perfect thing doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for the good enough thing. And that's what I see a lot with testing, where it's like, well, because we can't write the test exactly as we want it, we're just not going to write it. Modular rise. So each module has tests. I think functional programming and testing will go hand in hand. I would say probably things that are written in a functional style probably tend to be a little easier to test, since you strive for pure functions and you strive to have an input and an output and no side effects. Makes testing a little easier, I would say. I gotta say, I really do love unit testing and defensive programming. Hey man, I'm a big lover of unit tests too, but I'm a big lover of just automated testing. I don't want to have to start up an application and manually go through the app and verify all the behavior again and again and again and again and again, right? If I have to do something more than once, I need to find a way to automate it. The idea is that your test fixture has an instance of a faked out dependency like an HTTP server. And you can set up its next response in your test, then execute your code, then assert the output. Basically a mix between integration tests and mocking. Yeah, I like it. I mean, again, like I think an integration test can have mocks a part of it, right? Like you can have two pieces of code and you're testing those two pieces of code and how they work. But if one of those pieces of code calls out to some API service that you don't control, like GitHub or some enterprise platform that you're using, to me, it makes complete sense to mock out that API response or mock out that API call, because it's not something that's under your control, right? To me, that makes complete sense. So I think you can definitely, the vernacular that people use to describe like a unit test means everything's mocked and an integration test means nothing. Like, no, I think just when we talk about these things, we're letting the vocabulary control us too much, and we really just need to think what's the best test we can write for the most bang for our buck. And there's always going to be trade-offs, right? Automated testing is a baseline I wouldn't want to go below. Yeah, but most people don't have automated testing at any level. They don't have automated unit tests. They don't have automated integration tests. They don't have automated end-to-end tests. A lot of people don't have any of that stuff. They just write the production code and ship it. Which I know that's crazy to think, but like that is what a lot of people do. They do a little bit of happy path manual verification, right? But the rest be damned. I felt that writing my code in a unit testable manner makes it much more maintainable, and the defensive part kind of does a lot of internal module integration testing for you, but the effectiveness and applicability of this, of course, depends on the project you're working on. Yeah, and you just do, like I said, then that's where I'm like, you do the best you can with the situation you're given, right? Like, you write the best tests you can. And I think so many times that gets translated to, well, we can't write the ideal test, so let's just not do it. And I say on that, I think that's stupid. Yes, the lexicon is too complicated. Jargon gets in the way of a lot of things in life. Do you like or hate the 10x engineer? I just moved our entire back into Rust because it's better. I don't think I have any. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a 10x engineer. I think I'm just always very inspired and motivated by people who are really, really good. You know, when I look at people like the Primeagen or John Carmack or Casey Muratori, like, they all just seem like really, really good engineers, right? And I don't think I throw any shade at them. I think it just motivates and inspires me to try to continue to get better. Sadly, that's most of my workplace's code. I try to make tests for my own projects, but my team generally doesn't want to waste time on that, except for our biggest, most important projects, which kind of sucks. What are you gonna do, man? I know. What are you gonna do? You know, you can only do what you can only control what you can control. So yeah, I'm a big believer in writing tests. If it's something I care about and it's something I want to live over time and it's something I want to be able to iterate on, like, there are definitely projects I write that are just throwaway projects that I'm just trying to figure something out or explore how something works. I don't write tests. But if it's something I care about and I want to share with other people and I want to be able to evolve it over time, yeah, I write tests. For sure. Hey, what's up, Gun Heist? Thanks for being a member, man. Appreciate you. I like the Primeagen's take that only 10x engineer is the negative 10x engineer. I've never heard him say that, but it's funny. Thank you for being a streamer. Well, I don't know if I can actually claim being a streamer, but it's always good to show up here. Love myself some Rust rewriting. I have to say, I kind of have become a little Rust pilled myself. I like the speed that Rust gives you once it's compiled. I hate how long it takes to compile shit, but it's actually kind of amazing how fast a compiled Rust binary starts up. Like, I mean, C# you can kind of accomplish the same thing with AOT compilation, but it's just, I don't know, it's kind of amazing. I don't know if I can claim a member title. I just like the ring color. No, you could claim the member title, man. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much. VB6 binary start in like 1 millisecond. I've never written any VB6. Never written any Visual Basic. And I've not really written any C. So I kind of have to take that back, that like, I guess Rust was the first like lower level language that I've ever worked with. So I guess seeing how fast, I mean, Go's native binaries are fast too, right? Like the binaries Go spits out are fast too, but I can't remember what we were doing on stream. And I was like, wow, do you guys see how fast this starts up? I also like I like languages like Go and Rust where it's very easy just to produce a single executable and have everything bundled in there. I think that's really nice. You wrote some C on stream like a week ago, my guy. I did, but I didn't do much. You know, I wrote one project with it. and my experience with Rust came before C. Kevin, wow, early stream. Yeah, Kevin, this is normally when I stream. Yeah, this is the normal time. VB6 is still runnable due to VB6 runtime support in Win11s. Did not know that. Very cool. Python. I'm not a big Python guy, Kevin. I know it. I've written it, but I'm just not a big fan. It's just never grabbed me. It is kind of frustrating if someone is good at something, instead of admitting they're good at it, try to be humble. Just because me off, just say you're good at it. Oh, I don't know. I think humble is a good trait. I think it's good to be humble. No one likes to brag about. I mean, I don't like to brag about myself, you know. The thing is, no matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody out there that's better. At anything, you know. No matter how strong you are in the gym, there's always somebody out there who's stronger, right? It's just like whenever that comes up, I always think of this guy, Johnny Kim. You know, I don't know if you guys have seen this before. This guy right here, he's got like the craziest life accomplishments ever. He's been a Navy SEAL. He was an astronaut, a medical doctor, and something else. He's basically like had 4 of the hardest careers in the world to possibly achieve or do, and he's done them all. So like this is just a reminder that like no matter how good you think you are, no matter how accomplished you think you are, there's always someone out there who's killing it, you know? So it's good to stay humble. It's always good to stay humble. Python is highly offensive to me. The lack of semicolons and curly braces you find off-putting. Oh shit, I need to stop this timer because I'm not using it anymore. If I'm bad at something and I see the guy who's good and he says, "Oh guys, I'm bad at it." Yeah, but you have to remember, Suhas, his perspective is the same probably perspective you have, where if you think he's good, you're thinking relative to you, and then you know he thinks he's probably good, but he's thinking of himself relative to somebody else that's even better, right? So like I think humbleness can be genuine, right? It's like, you know, it's like a really great programmer thinking of themselves in comparison to John Carmack or the guy who created FFmpeg, right? Like you can be a great programmer and still be self-aware enough to know that there's somebody out there who's probably better than you, right? There's still room to grow. So while you find the humbleness may be annoying, I think it is genuine. It can be genuine. Can we just talk about the Python constructor? Why? I don't know, man. Yeah, dunder something. Dunder. Yeah, I don't know, man. Dunder init dunder. Go figure. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go. I've wasted all my wasted all my coding time yapping. I got to get upstairs and see my wife and kids before they head off to school. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you for all the chatting. It's always fun to talk about this stuff with other people who are interested in it too. I will try to get back on my normal schedule. Right now, my schedule on Twitch is set to 4:15 a.m. Central Standard to 6:15 a.m. Central Standard, and I'm gonna aim to do that most days. But yeah, I'm a normal guy. I got kids and a family and job and stuff, so it may move around from time to time. Do you have a stream schedule? Yeah, I think I just talked about that. So I'll do my best to try to stick to a regular schedule, but I know time zones are hard, so sometimes that doesn't work for everybody. All right, see you guys. Bye. Have a good day.